All right, so this week's going to be a bit of a change of pace. We got a bunch of cool things happening on the platform. We just launched our employee benefit program capabilities, so now we're starting to roll that out slowly. We shot a bunch of different videos last week, and we finished our auto course, which was pretty exciting. We finished with Ashley.Thomas, who is in our BNI group, which I've mentioned before, and she is an insurance agent. And so she came in and helped us out with the insurance, basics of insurance in the car course, which finished that off. So now the last of the car courses are being rendered and uploaded and connected to the course, which means the car course is about to be out. So between the employee benefit program and the car course, we got a bunch of cool things happening on the platform and on the product side. And then we got some neat things happening around the business, but there'll be time to talk all about those things maybe in future weeks. All right, so listen. The whole point of this vlog is to try to give you a behind-the-scenes view of what it's like to start a company, and whenever you find Oinching, you have the ability to go back and see the whole story unfold with us in all of our naivete and in all of our failures. And so it's an opportunity to be honest about who we were when we were those things and experience that with you whenever you find it. I think it's time we talk about something for real. I don't know of a better way of talking about it than to use a poker analogy. Let's go talk some Texas Hold'em. So listen, the entrepreneurial life is like playing a game of Texas Hold'em. It's played in rounds, both Texas Hold'em and the life of a startup. In startup world, we have these terms: seed round, pre-seed, or second seed round, and then we have Series A, Series B, Series C, Series D, and there's some general agreement as to what these might look like, what the businesses that go through these rounds look like. And the objective of any startup is to maximize its market cap. It's to maximize the value of the company itself, because ultimately what you're going to try to do is sell the company, be acquired, or go IPO and cash out. And so you're trying to grow the company as quickly as you possibly can. And you're going to do it these rounds. And each time you get to a new round, it's like success in that you've survived, and thus you can get a bunch of new capital in and keep playing the game. And all that capital gives you the chance to play some more hands. Texas Hold'em is a form of poker where you get dealt two cards. And those two cards are your starting hand. And all the rest of the cards are common. All the rest of the cards everybody knows. And you're playing against these other players that have the same cards in their hand as you do, except these two cards. Okay, so let's get right into this. Basically what happens is you raise a bunch of capital, like a seed round, and you raise some money, and all the while you're trying to convince investors that you think you have a good starting hand, which I do. That's a decent starting hand. You are convincing them that you have a decent starting hand and that you have an idea of what the flop will look like. What is the flop? The flop is the first three cards ultimately played in Texas Hold'em. So the flop is going to have these three cards. I've pre-orchestrated this. This is not a real game of poker. And the flop is three cards. All right. So here's going to be your three cards. I'm going to show them to you here on the table. So the flop comes, and suddenly we all share these three cards, but all of us have different hands because poker hands are 5 cards. And so my hand is different than everybody else. When the flop comes out, a bunch of possible hands are eliminated. They can't exist. You're only going to get 2 more cards. Ultimately, it's going to be the best 5 cards of 7 total if you make it all the way to the end. And once the flop is out there, there is an enormous amount of hands that just simply cannot happen. So, as soon as you see a flop, you have an idea of, well, what is the best possible hand to have? And some people, they raise a bunch of capital, they go to market, and it just explodes right away. But it's about as rare in poker as it is in entrepreneur world. When the flop comes out and it's perfect. You've launched your company and it hits fire the minute you launch it. That is rare. It happens, but it is the exception, not the rule. So now you've got to ask yourself, is the flop and the 2 cards that you were dealt good enough to keep playing? Or do I need to see this round and recalculate? And the life of a startup is constantly this game of recalculating, recalibrating, regoing to market. Now, we did a bunch of research before we launched Oinching, and so I've got a pretty good idea, I think, of what those cards look like. So here I am. I'm sitting with my 2 cards. Now, if you're looking at all 4 at the moment, what you're essentially saying is, well, all you've got is a pair of queens. They're not even a high card. Your hand at this moment isn't particularly good. You need one more card, and you could have the nuts. Or there's a litany of other cards that you could get that give you a really strong hand. Those are called outs. In the game of Texas Hold'em, those are called outs. When you're playing a hand that you think could hit big, but you haven't gotten it at, you're looking for an out. You're looking for an out on the 5th card, which is called the river. And it's a big gamble. It's a big gamble to play all the way to the river when you don't really have much leading up to the river, especially if there's a lot of bets going in. And that's where Ong Ching finds itself. We've got a good hand. We've done all the things we need to do to get to this point. We're looking at our hand and we're thinking, we have got a good hand. But we are on the river of our seed round. We are on the last cards of our seed round. And the question becomes, do we need to raise some capital so we could be dealt a handful of more hands? Or am I going to land the river? Am I going to land that one card I need to change everything? And we've got about 5 weeks to figure out if we need to be redealt or if we have landed the nuts, the card, the hand that can't be beat. And I'm caught. I'm caught between just let's go and raise the capital and be redealt. But when you get redealt, you don't know what cards you're going to end up with. You don't know if the next set of hands are going to be better. In the entrepreneur space, I'm going to bring in a bunch of capital, and who am I now in bed with? Who is this new team? Do they still share what was my first love? My first love at Ong Ching was always about solving this thing that causes chaos and destruction in so many lives, which is not the lack of resources, but the lack of the ability to understand how to maintain, build, and manage your resources, which can be solved, but it has to be solved right. And that's where I find myself. Is this new company, this new thing, going to share that first love the way it is today, or will we lose that in a desperate attempt to maximize market cap? There's nothing wrong with trying to maximize market cap. There's nothing wrong with trying to be profitable and trying to be successful. But there is something wrong with putting that above solving the problems you set out to solve. And that's my great fear. That last card, that river, it could end up being nothing. It could end up being nothing. And I don't have any choices. And I need to be redealt. Or it could be exactly what I need. And this last card, it's not a bank. It's a person. Am I going to find in the next 5 weeks the person who puts the money where their mouth is, who sees what I see and is willing to throw down and try something big, something ambitious? It's risky. One of my problems is that it's so much less risk than the risk that I take that it frustrates me. It frustrates me that people aren't willing to take a small amount of risk when I was willing to take so much risk. So much of my life has been wrapped around this company. So much money has been poured in, so much time, so many opportunity costs. And it frustrates me when I can't find the person who will take a tiny amount of risk when I've taken so many. But the truth of the matter is, it is a rare breed that's willing to risk on something new. And I've got 5 weeks to find them. And I've got candidates. I've got people who could be that person. But I got 5 weeks. If I don't find them, then we're going to have to go down a very difficult path of raising more capital and hoping we emerge out the other end as good as we began. No, maybe better. And it's scary. And it's lonely. And I've made it this far, and I'm confident I can make it to the end. But it's going to be painful. All your greatest intentions don't matter. You eventually got to find the people willing to take the risk with you. If you don't find them, you fail.